What is up, guys? In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why someone might experience anxiety. The standard model is that you don't have enough serotonin, you need benzos, it's just your personality, or there's something wrong with you. And most people don't realize that it's heavily controlled by neurotransmitters and your hormones, and that you can actually manipulate it. And it's not a coincidence that alcohol is called confidence in a bottle. The fact that alcohol works so well, or adaptogens or drugs, to help with anxiety is not because it helps you to cope. It shows you that feeling inner tension, experiencing anxiety, has a lot to do with your hormones and neurotransmitters, and that can be manipulated with your gut, digestion, neurotransmitters, many things that you can do. It is totally in your control to manage anxiety and inner tension and feelings of anxiety. Growing up, I always felt like I was an anxious, or more towards the shy side. I didn't feel like I was anxious, but I was more shy. And then over time, it became progressively worse, where I started having sweaty hands, profuse pit sweating. I was becoming very self-conscious. I was experiencing blurry vision under stress, rapid heart rate. My throat was closing when I had to speak to people, especially in front of other people as well. My eyes would get all teary and stuff. I would have a lot of neck tension. I was pulling my head back, feeling all twitchy. I struggled to make eye contact. Any noise was throwing me into an anxious state. If someone was laughing, playing music loudly, revving a car, revving a bike or something like that, any loud noise or even weather that was a little bit extreme made me extremely on edge and extremely anxious. And then I realized, hey man, you can actually improve this by the way you eat and certain supplements that you can take. And over time, after I have replenished my resiliency buffer, I no longer have anxiety. I don't have to take supplements to be in a confident or relaxed state. It's because there are certain compounds in the body that becomes depleted over time, which then progressively makes you more predisposed to anxiety. And yes, maybe your upbringing put it for you to be a little bit more on the edgy side, but ultimately it's still the neurotransmitters and hormones that determine how extreme that is. So what anxiety actually is, you have insufficient brakes and excessive gas pedal. So the brakes on the system would be the things that inhibit the stimulation. GABA, taurine, adenosine, magnesium, allopregnanolone, androsterone, THDOC, which is a 5-alpha metabolite of cortisol, 3-alpha-diol, 3-beta-diol, glycine, zinc, vitamin B6. So I added some of the nutrients like B6 and zinc to illustrate that the diet is extremely important for enhancing the brakes on the system. So you have the excessive gas pedal, which is glutamate, noradrenaline, adrenaline, the cortisol axis, orex, quinolinic acid, inflammation, histamine. All of these doesn't necessarily mean that they will cause inflammation. It's just that when the brake is insufficient and the balance steps more towards the excitement, this is what then puts you in a state where you're more likely to experience anxiety, especially around triggers. So the whole purpose here is to increase the brakes, downregulate the gas pedal. Now, obviously, you don't want to swing too hard towards the other side, because if you're too inhibited all the time, then you won't have motivation and drive to do anything. You will be excessively relaxed and you just have no desire to do anything in life. You might not be anxious, but it's just me. Like anhedonia can also be described as a state of insufficient gas pedal. So there's no emotion to it. And so this is why anxiety therapy doesn't work. So let's say you have low levels of magnesium and zinc and B6. So now your glutamate system is overactive. You don't have enough GABA to inhibit that. Now you're constantly in a more anxious state. And now you're trying to do exposure therapy. Exposure therapy can work if the body is able to buffer it. So if you go to the gym and you're exercising, right? But you can only tolerate 5 sets. Now you do 10 sets. Now you're going into a state where you can no longer recover from the volume that you have done. And now you're experiencing inflammation and catabolism instead of anabolism. You're not building muscle, you're breaking down because the stimulus was excessive to what you can handle. So what you want to do is you want to level up what you can handle so that the exposure therapy that you're doing is actually going to have a beneficial effect. So there are 6 main categories that I've identified with working with people. The first one is your cold or hypometabolic, and I'll go into depth in all of these now. Then we have the glutamate dominant, you have neurosteroid deficiency, you have inflammation or gut issues, A low parasympathetic tone, histamine driven. You can have one of these, you can have multiple of these, you can have all of them, but it doesn't mean you necessarily have just one. Most people have a combination of a couple. So let's go and get into it. The first one is you're just cold. So this is generally someone that is hypometabolic, their thyroid hormone's a little bit low, the sympathetic nervous system is upregulated, so you're experiencing cold hands and feet, and you're automatically in a more stimulated state because the sympathetic nervous system has to make up to create energy where thyroid system is now insufficient, right? So generally your cortisol is going to be a little bit higher, your norepinephrine is going to be higher, so it's going to predispose you more towards a state of anxiety. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but let's say on a cold day, if you were hypothyroid, you generally feel more twitchy and anxious. So it's not that you feel anxious, it's just that your body is putting you in a state where you perceive it to be anxiety. You have this inner tension, and when something happens, you're already just not feeling well, and that potentiate that anxious state. You're rather like, okay, I'm just going to get out of here. I want to be isolated, away from all the stimulation. And then let's say you start heating yourself up, right? Now you take thyroid, you take something like aspirin, you put on warm clothes, you get in a sauna, suddenly you start to feel a whole lot different. You do a workout and that increases your temperature and you feel amazing. But that increase in temperature doesn't last. And so progressively you start to feel more anxious again. Workout is one of the best ways to feel more confident if it helps to increase your temperature and make you feel better. Cause number 2 is gut inflammation. And this is because any kind of inflammation will upregulate the glutamate signaling. It just enhances their sensitivity to glutamate. And glutamate's excitatory. It helps to give you pleasure, emotion, focus, and drive. But when it's in excessive, it can create neurotoxicity and anxiety. It's also implicated in depression. So gut inflammation or any kind of inflammation can cause this. It's just that gut inflammation is one of the most common kinds of inflammation or reasons for inflammation that I have found in clients. Cause number 3 is the tryptophan steal. So when you have inflammation, the tryptophan that is meant to go to serotonin, and melatonin being more of the calming one, goes to the carotene pathway. And when it creates quinolinic acid, this is highly excitatory. MDA receptor, it's an agonist there. So a little bit helps with focus, motivation, and drive, but an excessive amount, again, is like an excessive stimulation of glutamate. So it's excitatory. It can create neurotoxicity and even brain damage in extreme levels. Whereas carotenic acid is inhibitory. But when you have inflammation, quinolinic acid will dominate. Now, quinolinic acid can be converted into nicotinic acid and also NAD, so this pathway is beneficial. It's just that when it creates an excessive amount of quinolinic acid, it will create that hyperexcitation. So again, inflammation and stress stimulates this pathway away from serotonin and melatonin. So when you use an SSRI or something that increases serotonin, it can compensate in a way, but it doesn't stop this pathway from stealing your tryptophan. Cause number 4 is you just have weak parasympathetic breaks. So the parasympathetic nervous system is mostly stimulated by acetylcholine and GABA. And when you don't have enough acetylcholine, there's not enough drive. Now, in order to create acetylcholine in the brain, most of the acetyl coenzyme A, so the way you create acetylcholine is with acetyl coenzyme A and choline. So glucose is broken down into acetyl coenzyme A, that you need all of the B vitamins. You need vitamins and minerals to create it. And when you have a deficiency, you can't burn glucose properly. You can't create acetylcholine properly. And a lot of people actually feel a lot better when they consume a lot of carbohydrates because it helps to shut down the sympathetic nervous system. It helps to lower cortisol. And then it also helps to create acetylcholine if you have the nutrients to make acetylcholine. Now you can consume eggs, which contain phosphatidylcholine that can help to provide choline so that your body can create the acetylcholine. So in a way that can compensate, or you can just supplement different versions of choline that can also help. But it comes down to having proper glucose oxidation in the brain, enough vitamins and minerals so your body can create its own acetylcholine. Break number 4 is you don't have enough of the endogenous buffers. Endogenous buffers would be something like PEA, Agmatine, taurine, magnesium, vitamin B6, glycine, lysine, vitamin C. Now, some of these, like taurine and lysine, aren't essential amino acids because your body can create them. But they're also classified as conditionally essential, where certain conditions increase the demand for it that exceeds the amount that your body can create. So it becomes conditionally essential. So when you stress, you deplete your taurine faster, you deplete your magnesium faster. Maybe you're not absorbing your vitamin B6 adequately because digestion is impaired. You're burning through your vitamin C very quickly. So during periods of stress and high demand, the need for these endogenous buffers will increase. You need more of them. So this is where you can actually supplement PEA or Agmatine. And from my experience, A puts me in a relaxed state more so than any other compound. So my two favorite compounds here is PEA and Agmatine. So some of the benefits of Agmatine, this is one of my favorite compounds ever, is that it lowers excessive nitric oxide, because nitric oxide is an excited gasotransmitter. Then we have, it inhibits the alpha-2 adrenergic receptor. So that's the autoreceptor of the sympathetic nervous system. It shuts down norepinephrine production. It's involved in the serotonin system, not just as a SSRI. It works on multiple receptors in different ways to help to regulate your mood and anxiety. It lowers calcium channels. So calcium is excitatory. It goes into a cell, it excites the cell, and it creates excitation. So it helps to manage the calcium channels. It helps to lower neural inflammation, brings down reactive oxygen species. It helps with barrier protection in the brain. It inhibits the inhibitor that is involved, again, in glutamate toxicity. So a huge variety of mechanisms that Agmatine help with. So if people can just supplement maybe one or two supplements, man, Agmatine PA is amazing. But all of this on this list is like really important during periods of stress. Number 6 is low neurosteroid tone. So all of your steroids are basically coming from cholesterol is converted to pregnenolone, and then from pregnenolone, it can convert to pregnenolone sulfate, which is a storage form. And you also have DHEA that is sulfated, which again is like a storage. It has a longer half-life. But pregnenolone sulfate and DHEA sulfate has GABA antagonistic effects, unless it converts into the neurosteroids here on the right. So you have progesterone converting all the way into allopregnenolone. You have the 11-deoxycorticostone that converts into the tetrodoxycorticostone, which is also a positive modulator of the GABA system. So you have progesterone, cortisol, then you have the androgens, DHEA converting all the way into androstenedione, that can convert into testosterone, that then goes to DHT, that then goes to 3-alpha-diol, which is a positive modulator of the GABA receptor, or you have androstenedione going to androsterone, which is also a positive modulator of the GABA receptor. So you need the progesterone metabolites, cortisol metabolites, and the androgen metabolites, all acting on positively on the GABA receptors. Everything coming from cholesterol. Now, there's no real good way to test any of these steroids, but you can do the UMAP test. That's a urinary test that looks at a huge variety of these steroids. Not all of them, but a huge variety of them, and can give you a pretty good idea of like what's happening to your progesterone pathway, cortisol pathway, and androgen pathway. Also the 5-alpha and 5-beta reductase pathways to see like what possibly might be the cause of anxiety. Is it low neurosteroids? Then cause 7 is histamine. Histamine is an excitant. Not everyone with histamine intolerance or histamine sensitivity is going to experience anxiety. But if you're already on the verge of being an overexcited person, adding in more histamine can definitely make that worse. Brain arousal neurotransmitter, it works on the histamine 1 receptor, which creates vigilance and wakefulness. So again, like you need it, but then access is not good. It activates glutamate, suppresses GABA, elevates norepinephrine. It causes microglial inflammation, palpitations and flushing, gut activation, and access is inflammatory to the gut. Histamine and access is just inflammatory, which is then going to potentiate or hypersensitize the glutamate system. It can contribute to breathlessness and insomnia, which can worsen it. Stress activates the mast cells to release even more inflammation and histamine, mast cells and histamine reactivity. So it's not that histamine in of itself maybe creates the anxiety, it's that it potentiates it if you're in a state prone to it. So here are a few additional contributors. Coffee too soon or in excess in the mornings, you need to give it more time for the sympathetic nervous system to calm down. Chronic low-carb fasting or chronic dieting, cold exposure, because that also stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. It's not that cold exposure is bad. It's that when you do it in excess from what your body is able to cope from, that puts you in a negative, non-adaptive state. Excess alcohol, because it creates a glutamate rebound and it desensitizes the GABA receptors. Poor digestion, because that creates inflammation. Skipping meals, again, it stimulates the sympathetic nervous system. The thing is, if you can go all day without a meal and you're not feeling stressed, that is fine. I'm not saying like you shouldn't be skipping meals. I'm just saying like skipping meals can create it for some people. Sleep deprivation, nicotine, which is excitatory, chronic pain, because that also sensitizes the nervous system to stimulation. But basically, pain is already a hypersensitization of the nervous system. That's why you're experiencing pain in the first place. Poor posture, so if you're hunched over forward all the time, it stimulates more cortisol. You can't properly breathe. You can't properly activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's always chest up, slow, deep breathing. Don't force it. Just focus on like slow breathing. Doesn't have to be deep, just slow. That will help with CO2 retention, helping to get oxygen into the tissue, helping you to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Not exercising, because good stressors is still a good way to adapt to other stressors in life. Not following your passions and hobbies, because that can create a mental state of dissatisfaction, which can then create icky feelings in general. Hormonal misalignment, so this is you're not managing estrogen properly on TRT, and then certain steroid use. It's more of the synthetic ones, not necessarily testosterone. All right, guys, so this is what creates anxiety via specific hormones, specific neurotransmitters, and I just addressed a bunch of additional things that can contribute to anxiety. So if you want to know exactly how to address these various points, I wrote a whole guide. The link for that will be in the description below. Exactly how to address your histamine, how to address your sympathetic nervous system, how to eat, how to boost your metabolism, how to feel warmer. All of that is discussed in the guide below. So, all right, guys, I hope this video was insightful. You learned something new, and I will check you in the next one. Cheers, guys.